Welcome to the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media here in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli, and it is a special show on this episode of the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. As your host, Ian Rickelli, we're going to have our guest, Marcus Betts, in the Alphabets Football Show. We are going to be doing our 2023 NFL Draft Preview Show. We'll be doing our mock draft, breaking down who will go 1 to 31 in this upcoming NFL draft. But we'll be right back after a 20-second bumper, so don't go anywhere here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com.
PR Connections Radio presents.
So, Marcus Betts, I've had you on the show before. It's been a while, but how you been, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. A little bit, a little bit distraught because football season's over, but we're in draft season. So, it's good. We're getting back in the swing of things. Draft in 3 weeks. Let's go.
Absolutely, and it definitely will be that way. Now, when it comes to the NFL draft, here's how this is going to go. So we will go pick by pick, and we will have our guest, Marcus Betts, go first. He'll tell you who he has selected. We'll put a picture up on the screen about who we think could be going there, and then I will go second, and we'll open up to the audience and everyone watching around the world who you have being selected with that pick. So before we get into it and start diving in, Marcus Betts, tell everyone about the Alphabets Football Show, and what is it? What is the Alphabets Football Show?
We're an interactive show, Facebook Live, YouTube, and we're interactive. We're strictly football. Have a good time. My lovely co-host Ramona Diehard, and during football season we break it all down, news and stories and whatnot. And, it's a good time. If y'all get a chance, come and check us out, on our YouTube page, the Alphabets Football Show, and on Facebook, Alphabets Football Show. Come and check us out. It's really, really a good show, I think, but I might be a little bit biased.
Well, absolutely. It's a great show. Only if it wasn't on the same time as the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio majority of the time. And just to set up the premise here, who is your favorite team? Because everyone knows that our host, Ian Rickelli, is a diehard Chicago Bears fan. But who is Marcus Betts' favorite team?
Dallas. I live in Texas. Dallas Cowboys, America's team, the most popular, expensive, valuable sports team in all the professional sports, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, football in Europe, the most valuable sports team in the world.
That is absolutely great. So as you can see, the NFL draft logo right here, that looks clean, by the way, with the bricks background and the red of the Kansas City.
Not too bad.
That does look good. Absolutely. Let's get into the first pick here, and that is the Carolina Panthers. Now, Marcus Betts, we'll start out with you. Carolina, they jumped up from 9 to 1, made a trade with the Chicago Bears to get this number one pick. Who do you have being selected here with the first overall pick?
I'm going CJ Stroud. Bryce Young, I did not realize how small he was. He is the same dimensions as Kyler Murray. I don't like small quarterbacks. You got a bigger body guy. My old football coach used to say, I'm going to always go with the good big athlete over the good small athlete. So give me CJ Stroud, played at a big-time program, Ohio State University. I was kind of torn with Anthony Richardson, but I think he's kind of a raw prospect. We see, your Bears, the Ohio State quarterbacks have had an issue, a bad reputation of being pretty bad. Justin Fields is kind of breaking the mold for that. So give me CJ Stroud overall, number one overall.
And, this might be a reoccurring theme on this show, or it may not. We'll have to wait and see. But I will agree with you on CJ Stroud. I think that he will be the first overall pick. When it comes to Carolina, it was clear and obvious, even though they didn't want to announce it, that Carolina did have an idea on who they wanted. They knew that they wanted to go and get a quarterback. That's why they gave up essentially 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks to go up with Chicago and get the number 1 overall pick. And based off of all the teams in college football and based off of all the available quarterbacks in this upcoming draft, I just truly believe that man right there, he is the best quarterback in this draft. Now, before we move over to the second pick and we talk about the Houston Texans, is there a possibility that Bryce Young, Will Levis, maybe AR-15 in Florida, a chance that any of those do go first overall to the Carolina Panthers?
I just don't see it. I think when you move up from 9 to 1, you pretty much have your guy. You have your guy pretty much locked in. So I think it's CJ Stroud all day long.
That's going to be an interesting situation. And we'll move over to the second pick. And I know that you're in Texas. I was born in Houston, Texas, out there. Saw the Houston Texans inaugural season back in 2002. Beat the Dallas Cowboys on opening night. Really their only highlight from that 2002 season. But the Houston Texans, second overall pick, their former coach, Lovie Smith, helped out their Chicago Bears one last time by getting them the number 1 pick. But there is some promise here with the Houston Texans. I will admit that the future is bright in Houston. They made a very good amount of splash moves in this offseason. They hired one of the best coaching hires in DeMeco Ryans from the San Francisco 49ers, a former Eagles and Texans linebacker back in the day. But with the Houston Texans, Marcus, who do you have being taken second overall and being a member of the Houston Texans?
I'm going to stay with the quarterback theme. I think as soon as CJ Stroud goes number 1 overall, I think that the Texans run the card up there to the commissioner, and I got Bryce Young going number 2 overall.
And is there anything with Bryce Young that you could potentially see benefiting him going to Houston? Like, is there like a certain strategy or anything going on with Bryce Young that could benefit him going to Houston?
I just think that they're starving for a quarterback over there. The whole Deshaun Watson debacle. I just think that they want to, they kind of, they rolled with Davis Mills. I don't think he's the answer. I thought maybe he would kind of take the step, coming over from Stanford. Stanford has put out some pretty good products, the Andrew Lucks and that John Elway's. He just doesn't seem to be that franchise type back. I think you get Bryce Young and you start putting weapons around him. They tried to go and get a couple of things. They traded away Brandon Cooks for a pick. Now they're going to have to get him some They're going to definitely have to get him some weapons. They started off with a good running game. You got a guy like Dameon Pierce. I thought he was probably their best player offensively last year, but maybe getting a guy like Mechie back from his Alabama teammate, but he has some cancer issues. So we'll see. But I think, you start there, you get your quarterback, and then you start surrounding him with some pieces on the perimeter.
And your host, Ian Rickelli, here of the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. This will be a 2 for 2 here. Yes, Bryce Young, he is kind of the obvious selection here. He was supposed to be the number 1 pick heading into this draft, but unfortunately some things have changed over the last couple of months. And I think the biggest criticism going to Bryce Young, and obviously so many people have talked about it, so we'll try to make it a little bit different. His height is what everyone's complaining about. It doesn't matter if it's a scout, an analyst, an expert, regardless of who it is. Everyone keeps complaining about Bryce Young and how small and how fragile he is. I mean, Marcus, is there any truth to that? The fact that because of his size, there could be a tough transition going to the NFL?
Well, the NFL is the NFL is very enamored with size. They're enamored with size. Have there been shorter quarterbacks that have had success? We see a guy, 6 foot, 6 foot and under guys. We've seen a guy like Drew Brees. He had a little bit of success, but there's generally a reason why they want guys to be 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". You got defensive linemen, your offensive linemen, 6'4", 6'5". The defensive lineman 6'4", 6'5". They got their hands up. You're basically going over an 8 or 9 foot wall. So they want you to have a little bit of height, but I still think, playing at Alabama, playing in probably the toughest, not probably, definitely the toughest football conference in America. He had success. Didn't have the gaudy numbers like a Mac Jones or Tua. Didn't have the receivers like those guys have, but I think that they'll be very happy with this pick at number 2.
So as we are continuing our NFL draft preview here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. We're here with Marcus Betts from the Alpha Betts Football Show. And this next pick, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, before we get into the pick itself, we actually kind of have to address the rumor surrounding this pick. And the rumor is the Arizona Cardinals are shopping this pick around. We've heard about the Las Vegas Raiders potentially having a phone call with them, moving up from 7 to 3. So before we get into who you have being taken here, is there any possibility that this will be the first trade on draft night, that Arizona will make a move here?
I could definitely see that. I think it's a high probability that it is. They just paid Kyler Murray, so they're kind of married to him. So he's not going anywhere. I think he's the 3rd or 4th highest paid quarterback after. I think he's the 3rd highest paid quarterback after Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. So he's not going anywhere. Some quarterback starved team, Raiders, Colts, I could see them possibly moving up to this spot. I could definitely see somebody moving up in there. I don't really, it's hard to forecast trades and things like that, but I could definitely see this is a spot here that gets traded.
So putting into the notion that there will not be a trade here, Marcus Betts, who do you have the Arizona Cardinals taking with this pick, 3rd overall?
This is one of the hardest picks I had to do because they have so many holes. They could go offensive line. They could go defensive line. They could go wide receiver. You see that they're trying to shop DeAndre Hopkins. You had Larry Fitzgerald just recently retired. You got rid of Christian Kirk. They could use some weapons on the perimeter. They could go so many directions. I went with possibly the best defensive player, and I gave them Will Anderson Jr. at 3.
And you know what? This is probably going to be where the first defensive player does go in this draft. Will Anderson, if it wasn't for Jalen Carter and his off-the-field issues and the whole concern about his pro day and all the stuff that is surrounding Jalen Carter, he would probably be the first defensive player taken. But because of all the uncertainty and because of all the question marks surrounding him, I think this has opened up Will Anderson from Alabama being the first person taken defensively in this upcoming draft. So Arizona Cardinals, I do have Will Anderson from Alabama. He will be the guy taken in this pick. And I really see him being a J.J. Watt replacement for the Arizona Cardinals, having a guy coming off the edge, kind of having some leadership quality as well. I heard about, what he can do defensively at Alabama. The Arizona Cardinals, I don't see them being a playoff team in the anytime future. But that defense was absolutely atrocious last year. Outside of Budda Baker, you really didn't have much on that defense. So how much of a upgrade would Will Anderson be for the Arizona Cardinals?
I mean, they have a lot of holes. I wouldn't compare his game to J.J. Watt. I would really compare him more to a guy that they lost a couple of years ago. J.J. was more of a inside presence. To me, this is your Chandler Jones replacement. They traded Chandler Jones to the Raiders a couple of last season. I think this is a kind of a slender, smaller, speed rusher type guy, and I think that this is I think this is more your Chandler Jones replacement more than a J.J. Watt.
And as we're talking about the NFL draft here, we got to go to 4th overall in the Indianapolis Colts. And I really see them as a wild card heading into this NFL draft because the question's going to be at 4th overall, if there's a certain quarterback off the board, if they move up from 7 to 3, for example, do the Colts pick the worst out of the 4 options and stay at quarterback, or do the Colts try to trade down? Do they try to add more assets to their upcoming draft capital? I mean, there's a lot of question marks surrounding the Indianapolis Colts, but one thing for certain is they desperately need a quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. They have little to none. So, Marcus Betts, who do you have being selected here at the Indianapolis Colts selection, pick number 4?
I'm going to throw a curveball in here. The Colts have been starving for a quarterback. They've been playing musical quarterback since Andrew Luck suddenly retired. They went with Jacoby Brissett. They brought in Phillip Rivers for a year. They had Carson Wentz for a year, and they keep trying to put a Band-Aid on this wound. I think that they go here in this draft, but I think that they kind of trick everybody with who they go with, and I'm giving them Will Levis at 4. I think that Will Levis here. I think Anthony Richardson is just such a raw prospect, and I just don't see. I think that they want a guy who can get the ball down the field. I'm going Will Levis at 4.
And with Will Levis, there's really going to be a major question mark about, he has the size of an NFL quarterback. We see this every single draft. They have the size, they have the look. He has a cannon of an arm at his pro day. But do you think Will Levis would be able to be a day one starter in Indianapolis, or was there a reason why they signed a veteran in Case Keenum? Is there a reason why they brought Gardner Minshew from Philadelphia?
Generally, when you look at drafts, except maybe the '83 draft with Elway and whatnot, you generally have one or two guys, and the other guys are kind of you got your John Elway and your Dan Marino, but then you got your your Ken O'Briens of the world. So you have your Baker Mayfield and your Josh Allen, then you got your Josh Rosens and your Sam Darnold. So there's always a risk. I'm going with the upside here. I don't really trust Kentucky quarterbacks, but eventually the cycle breaks. You got probably the best arm in the draft. I mean, he's got a rocket launcher attached to his shoulder. So I think you roll with Case Keenum for a little bit, and then this kid maybe somewhere towards the middle of the season, you give this kid a shot.
And with the Indianapolis Colts, it's going to be a interesting situation there. But your host, Ian Rickelli, I'm going to go quarterback here. Indeed, I do. But I have Anthony Richardson, AR-15, being selected by the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, look, they've had Jacoby Brissett. They had one game with Josh Freeman. But with the Indianapolis Colts, I really feel like this is a time for the Indianapolis Colts to make the right move and not a move that they feel like is the correct move, and that is taking the best quarterback available. I've always felt that Anthony Richardson is a tad better than Will Levis, just based off of what we've seen from college football and also based off of the comparisons we've seen in terms of talent out there in Florida and in Kentucky. So Anthony Richardson, I have him going 4th overall to the Indianapolis Colts. But to your point, I could see Gardner Minshew starting a few games to begin the year, and then Anthony Richardson will come in and take over halfway through the year. Now, pick number 5, man, this is going to probably be the one where we start to disagree a bit. The Seattle Seahawks, there has been a lot of reports about them trading down. There's about teams that are trying to get a quarterback. Seattle Seahawks, they re-signed Geno Smith. Is he the long-term future? We don't know. There's also been the talk about getting a pass rusher, getting somebody off the edge in Seattle. There's a lot of unknowns with this pick. But Marcus, who do you have here? Who do you have the Seattle Seahawks taking at 5th overall in the 2023 NFL Draft?
I'm going Anthony Richardson here. I think you draft Anthony Richardson. You put him on the bench. You just gave Geno Smith a 3-year extension, and you tell Geno, they're paying Geno, I think, $35 million. You bring this kid in, let him sit, and they got a lot of nice weapons over there that he could, that when he comes to a team, when he eventually becomes a starter, he's not going to have to play Superman. You drafted a guy like Kenneth Walker. You still got DK Metcalf. You got Tyler Lockett. You got Noah Fant over there at tight end. I'm going Anthony Richardson here. This is what I would do. This is where, because I believe Anthony Richardson, I think he can develop into a good quarterback. But if you throw him out there on day one, he's gonna. I don't think he's ready to be a day one starter. I think you get this kid, you groom him. He's got all of these fit. He's a freak of nature. You don't have to rush him. He can sit back. He can learn the offense. He doesn't get his confidence destroyed. I'm going Anthony Richardson here. I think this would be a great spot for him to groom him. You got your quarterback of the future. You can get Geno off the books in the next couple of years, and you have a kid on a rookie contract.
I mean, I will say that Seattle Seahawks, if they do take a quarterback here, I will understand the logic. But I believe with them being a playoff team, they really can't draft a quarterback and have him wait for a little bit. I actually think that they could be in a Super Bowl window. And if you're in a Super Bowl window, you need to go get a starter. You need to get somebody that can be a day one next year. So that case, I have Seattle Seahawks taking defensive end Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. I mean, this is a guy that can definitely get to the quarterback. This is a guy who has a nice swim, bull rush technique. This is someone that I could very well see be a very good core member of the Legion of Boom 2.0, per se, with the Seattle Seahawks, what they're building on defense out there in the Pacific Northwest. Now, with everybody in the chat, I want to read a few comments for everyone watching around the world. If Pete Carroll can revive Geno's career, I like what he could do with AR-15. Hey, Pete Carroll is a fantastic coach. What he did with Russell Wilson, what he's doing with Geno Smith, regardless if he takes a quarterback this year or next year, I think Pete Carroll is very well in terms of building quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's definitely he's that old school coach that players seem to gravitate towards, except Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch wasn't too, and Earl Thomas. They kind of had a falling out.
Yeah. And then I will say this, that we're moving on to pick number 6, and that will be the Detroit Lions, kind of the internet darling of this offseason. So many people are in love with Detroit. A lot of them are crowning them the uncrowned NFC North division winner next year, and I understand why. There's a lot of hype and a lot of intrigue around Detroit. But Marcus, the 6th overall pick, yes, there's a possibility of them taking a quarterback if any of them are still on the board at pick number 6. But if not, if you're Detroit, do you keep this pick? Do you sit and have number 6, or do you trade down, get some more draft capital, and maybe get somebody later in the draft that you're thinking could be there at 6?
I do think this would be a good spot for them to move down. We're not doing trades, but I could definitely see that. They're a team definitely on the cusp. Showed a lot of promise last year, but that defense was absolutely horrible. So at 6, I'm giving them a chance. I'm giving them a chance to rectify the defense, and I'm giving them Jalen Carter at 6. Now it is a risk. You went and got a guy like Aiden Hutchinson last year. You put Jalen Carter on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson, and now you're cooking with bacon grease. I know he's got some legal issues or whatnot, but I think you go get this kid, and now your defense is looking like one of the better defenses in the division.
And when it comes to Jalen Carter, if the off the field stuff and his pro day didn't happen, would you assume that he would go 3rd overall? That he would have been the top guy taken here?
I don't know. There were so many teams with quarterbacks. I don't know if you always want to build your team through the you got to get your quarterback. I still think a quarterback goes, but I don't think there's as many questions. Maybe he does go number 2 or number 3, but I think a quarterback was going to go 1 all along. I just think that, you got so many teams that are starving for quarterback. You're looking at the Panthers and looking at the Colts and and whatnot, and looking at the Texans. I think quarterback was always going to be the first pick off the board.
And before I get to who I have the Detroit Lions taking, this could be interesting here. And shout out to Blaze, by the way, for this comment. Detroit takes Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas. Ooh.
I think that's a little bit rich. I think that's a little bit rich for a quarterback. For a running back, I'm sorry. You've already spent a high draft pick on a guy like DeAndre Swift. So I don't know if you want to double dip at running back with high. Now they just got rid of Jamal Williams, so I don't know.
Brought in David Montgomery from the Bears, however.
You just got David Montgomery. I don't know if number 6 overall. Now we have seen it. You've seen running backs go high. You got your Zeke's at 4 and your Saquon Barkley's at 2 and your Leonard Fournette. He went 5. Christian McCaffrey went top 10, but I think that's a little bit rich for them with where they're at. I think they need defense. Their offense was straight last year, but their defense gave up a lot of games. So I'm gonna give them what many perceive as the best defensive player on the board, and I'm gonna stick with Jalen Carter there at 6.
Well, Blaze, David Montgomery is a solid player. I know you're saying he's coming off an injury, but let's just keep in mind that he had a stellar career in Chicago. He had a few good years there. Now, my pick for the Detroit Lions, I'm sticking with defense here. However, I'm going with the best defensive back in this draft. I'm going with defensive back Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. The Jeff Okudah situation has really fallen apart in Detroit. I don't think he's a true number 1 in Detroit at this point in his career. So with the Detroit Lions, you have Cam Sutton. He could be a solid number 2, but the Detroit Lions lack a true number 1. Getting Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, that would definitely fix that situation there. And I will say with 6 picks in here on the Sports Angles 2023 NFL mock draft, we got to get to a situation where, and you know what, we got somebody on the line real quick. So let me just answer this real quick. Okay, or they will call back. I absolutely. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders at pick number 7 is definitely a good situation. That is in our backyard. You see Allegiant Stadium right behind me. So, Marcus, I will have you start this out with the Las Vegas Raiders at pick number 7. So, who do you have here? Who do you have our local hometown? What do you have this situation?
Is this another team that has a lot of holes? You franchise tag Josh Jacobs. You still got Devontae Adams. You get rid of Darren Waller. There's a lot of ways you can go here. But I think that, you jump over to the defensive side of the ball. I could also see them trading out of this pick too. We keep talking about these picks. We're not doing, we're not doing trades, but I could see them trading out of here. But I gave them Christian Gonzalez. I think that they need a corner. Well, they need a lot of things over there. Chandler Jones didn't really work out. You still got, you got a little edge. You got a little edge rush over there, but the corners were just terrible. You let a guy like Baker Mayfield come in there, being there 3 days with the Rams, and he marches the guys down the field for a game-winning drive because your defensive secondary just can't get anything going on. So I'm going to give them a cornerback, a true shutdown corner. I'm gonna give them a corner over there. I could also see them maybe going Tyree Wilson. I debated Tyree Wilson here, but I gave them a cornerback to try to lock up, the receivers that they have in the AFC West. I think you need to try to find you a shutdown corner. Christian Gonzalez.
So you're gonna go with Christian Gonzalez from Oregon?
Christian Gonzalez, yeah.
Now, I'm assuming that, like I said, there's going to be no trades in this one here. So yeah. I'm going to have the 4th and last quarterback coming off the board, and that will be Will Levis from Kentucky. Now, I'm not high on Will Levis to begin with, but let me explain why I have the Raiders picking him here. The Las Vegas Raiders, you signed Jimmy Garoppolo. Boo freaking who. You're signing a veteran quarterback on a 3-year deal. I mean, you have the Patriots trying to have the Patriots 2.0 out there in Las Vegas. You sign Brian Hoyer, you bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, but majority of time when you watch this Patriots way 2.0, where you have these offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, and they're trying to become the Patriots once again, you have a situation where they bring in a young quarterback in year 2 of their situation, And I think Will Levis could definitely fit in with that mold. So I have the Las Vegas Raiders, them taking Will Levis from Kentucky. So I have him being the 7th overall pick by the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, with Jimmy Garoppolo being paid by Las Vegas, Marcus, do you have Will Levis being a day one starter, or would he sit for a while, very similar to what you talked about with Anthony Richardson with Seattle?
Well, I had him going at 4. And if he goes to the Raiders, he's definitely sitting behind Jimmy G. Jimmy G, he knows the system. Josh McDaniels, former offensive coordinator for the Patriots, the head coach of the Raiders now. I think Jimmy G's got that job on lock. I just don't see them. If they were to get a guy like Will Levis, he's definitely going to sit behind Jimmy G. Jimmy G, he's not a world beater, but he's a decent quarterback. And whether we believe it or not, he is a Super Bowl champion. However way he got those Super Bowl rings, he is a Super Bowl champion.
And does he make the team better or worse, considering the Raiders offseason this year?
I know you're over there in Vegas. I never thought Derek Carr was a good quarterback. I've never thought Derek Carr is a guy. He's a Jag. He's a Jag and not a Jacksonville Jag. He's just a guy. He's a try-hard guy. He's got a lot of heart, and I know a lot of Raiders fans, they like him because he has that Raider mentality. But he's just a guy. He's nobody that's gonna change your life. So we've seen Jimmy G. We saw him with the Patriots. We saw him, do some good things with the 49ers. And I think, he probably got his best wide receiver he's ever had in Devontae Adams. And I think he's going to be the starter. I think Josh McDaniels feels very comfortable with him.
And so this is the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. We're doing our NFL draft preview show, and I got a caller on the line. Caller, identify yourself. All right, we got Ringmaster Sal from the Sports Circus. Absolutely. Now, we will be getting into your team later in the show, but as we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, I just want to get your angle very quickly. What do you see the Las Vegas Raiders doing during this draft? I mean, we're in the Las Vegas sports entertainment capital of the world here. So.
Their former coach, Tom Flores. And until the Raiders can prove they can stop, they're not going to go anywhere. I don't care how much offense you have, at the end, you have to be able to turn the opponent into a one-dimensional.
All right, so, that's a very interesting point. Now, with the Raiders, I have them taking a quarterback. Personally, Marcus Betts, our guest here on the show, I have him. He has him taking defensive back Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. Our chat here, they have them taking offensive line. There's a lot of possibilities here. But with the Las Vegas Raiders, I mean, what do you possibly see them doing here when it comes to position-wise?
I mean, the Raiders are a team that need to make an impact this year. The draft is one thing, but I actually look for the Raiders to deal draft picks to make a deal. Because remember, the Super Bowl is in Las Vegas next time around. So the Raiders are going to want to compete for the Super Bowl, and they're not going to want to spend a bunch of time developing players. They need to make an impact so they actually have a snowball chance. So they just compete for a Super Bowl title. So therefore, look for the Raiders to make trade down, get players, and they want impact players today. Not next year, not the year after. They need players that can produce.
Yeah, absolutely. A day one starter, that could be somebody that they got to get right now. And, you mentioned Las Vegas being a Super Bowl, and we have to get to the next pick here very soon, and we'll talk about your Chargers in about a minute. But when it comes to Las Vegas being a Super Bowl, how much of an impact is that going to have on the city of Las Vegas? I mean, after all, to me, it's the greatest city in the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, my hometown. But when it comes to Las Vegas, how much of an impact is this Super Bowl going to have here?
I think what happened in Phoenix gained $550 million financially from an economic boost from the Super Bowl over there. I was over there. I can assure you, Phoenix is a small percentage, still it's a small percentage, but it's a hell of a lot less than what's going to happen here because people come from all over the world to Las Vegas to get crazy, party, whatever, right? So, yes, the impact, my best guess, you'll probably see an impact of about $750 million. $1 billion every year for the next 10 years.
Wow. You know what? That is, man, that's a lot of money. That's the only thing I can say. I mean, when you get to that certain number, it's going to be a lot of money. Now, we got to get back to the mock draft here. But when it comes to the NFL draft, I know you're a Chargers fan. Unfortunately, you're one of the only 10 fans left that's still a Chargers fan. But when it comes to your team, who do you have them taking in this NFL draft? They need a receiver, tight end, offensive line, maybe a running back. I mean, what do you got here? Oh, and unfortunately, the phone line went offline. We'll get back to him eventually, Chargers or later in the show. But let's get to pick number 8 here with the Atlanta Falcons. And Marcus Betts, definitely you're still here on Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. And by the way, yes, we do have a call line. I'm still having to get all the bells and whistles worked out, but we do have a call-in number, 702-482-8159, 702-482-8159. So the Atlanta Falcons are next, and Marcus Betts, who do you have being taken here with the Atlanta Falcons? Who do you got?
I think that, they've done a lot on the offensive side of the ball. They go out and get a guy. They said that they're happy with Desmond Ridder. I could possibly see them going with a guy like Hendon Hooker. I nearly would with Hendon Hooker, but I'm going to jump over to the defensive side of the ball, and I gave them Tyree Wilson here. I think they need an edge rusher, somebody to get after the quarterback. They went and invested in some edge rushers that didn't quite work out. They had a guy like Tack McKinley. He first round pick that they spent. I think that they need to go and get a guy who can actually get after the quarterback. Jalen Carter's off the board already, and so I'm giving them an edge rusher there. I'm giving them Tyree Wilson here.
You know what? I will say when it comes to Tyree Wilson, if he doesn't go to Seattle, that could be a very good possibility. And you know what, Blaze, you mentioned a guy I have being taken here at number 8, and that is Jalen Carter from Georgia. Not only because of the Atlanta-Georgia connection, but you also have a need here. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons up the middle, there has obviously been a need in that situation. But what I want to talk about and what I really want to point out here is that when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons, when it comes to Jalen Carter, he is someone that if you fall to 8, that would be a massive steal for the Atlanta Falcons. He would be a guy that would totally be a face of the defense for the Atlanta Falcons situation. So, yes, you have Tyree Wilson, and I can understand that, but I have Jalen Carter here. But at least we can agree that we have the defensive line or defensive end as a need for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, we're getting to pick number 9, the Chicago Bears. And obviously, since this is my team, I'm actually going to go first here. And the Chicago Bears, I have them taking someone who feels like a Chicago Bear. Someone who has that toughness, that grit, that physicality with Chicago. And for me, I'm going to go with defensive end, Lucas Van Ness. Lucas Van Ness, he is somebody that can get to the quarterback, a good edge rusher, somebody that can attack the side. And what I really want to look at is that when it comes to Lucas Van Ness, can he be the next great Chicago Bear edge rusher that they've had for decades and decades at a time? So I have them taking defensive end, Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, Chicago Bears. But who do you have, Marcus? Who do you got?
I'm going to continue with the theme of giving Justin Fields as many weapons as he can over there. cold weather receiver. I know you got DJ Moore, who you're paying paying a lot of money to. I don't know if I'm sold on Chase Claypool, so I'm giving you another weapon on the perimeter over there to match up firepower going against the Lions over there. And I gave you Jackson Smith and Jibba over there.
An Ohio State quarterback.
Ohio State used to playing in the cold out there at the Horseshoe, out in the freezing cold over there in Columbus, Ohio. You got a cold weather receiver. You got a guy like Chase Claypool, we'll see, who played at Notre Dame. I'm going to give you a guy who can be out there, and also a guy, you got your quarterback from Ohio State. I'm going to give you an Ohio State receiver, probably, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the draft. And we're going to find out about Justin Fields real quick. He won't have to do as much running. I don't want to see him doing as much running. I want to see him making reads down the field and getting a playmaker at wide receiver. So I gave you a playmaker, a guy who can go out there and win one-on-one on the perimeter.
And with the Chicago Bears, with them, all the moves they've made this offseason, I mean, they had the most money heading into free agency, and they spent it very wisely for the Chicago Bears. I mean, how do you see the Chicago Bears performing next year? How do you see them being?
I still, we got to see, can your quarterback take it to the next, take it to the next level? I don't want to see a sophomore slump over there. I'd like to see Justin Fields he's going to have to show that he can, make that progress. We know he can run. We know that. Now the next progression for him is to see if he can read defenses. I don't want to see another Lamar Jackson. They seem to be not going, that route. They seem to be wanting to get him some receivers. You look over there, Lamar Jackson, they just refuse to get him receivers over there. I hope the Bears do everything they can to give this kid an opportunity to throw the ball down the field to some playmakers that can do something with the ball in their hand.
Absolutely. And I hope the absolute best for the Chicago Bears. Now we have gotten to the 10th overall pick, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. And with it being the Philadelphia Eagles, I had to bring on an expert, somebody who's very knowledgeable about the Philadelphia Eagles, and not only just a friend of the show. Of course, we got Dennis Holmes from the Inner Thinkers podcast. He's coming on to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles pick. So Dennis Holmes, welcome to the show. I know you wanted to talk about the Eagles. How's it going, my friend?
Everything's going by pretty good. What's going on, Marcus? How's everything?
What's going on, Dennis? How you doing, man?
Not much, just chilling. I don't know who y'all picked so far. I couldn't see the whole show. So who did y'all pick so far?
We kind of have it right here. So Carolina first pick. We both agreed on CJ Stroud, Ohio State.
Even though Adam Schefter came out and said that they're leaning towards Bryce Young?
I'm going to always go with the good big athlete over the good small athlete.
Okay. All right.
Second pick, we both agreed on Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama, going to Houston. Third overall pick, Arizona Cardinals. I took Will Anderson from Alabama. I think, Marcus, who'd you take from Arizona?
At 3, I took Will Anderson also. We agreed for the first 3 picks.
All right, and then fourth overall pick is where we had difference there. He went Will Levis from Kentucky. I went Anthony Richardson from Florida with the fourth overall pick.
That's with the Indianapolis Colts, right?
As the Indianapolis Colts. I got them taking AR-15. He hasn't taken Will Levis. Fifth overall, he has Seattle taking Anthony Richardson. So he has all 4 quarterbacks going in the top 5. I have defensive end Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech.
Starting to sound good. Who you got next? Who's starting to sound good to me? Who you got next?
Sixth overall, he's got Detroit Lions taking defensive tackle Jalen Carter.
Yeah,
and I have them taking defensive back Christian Gonzalez from Oregon.
Okay. Aiden Hutchinson and Jalen Carter, I think that would take that defense over the top. I think Ian don't want Jalen Carter to go to the line so they don't beat the Bears.
Absolutely not. I think that's what that is.
No. But if Jalen Carter slips to this 10th pick, he will be a Philadelphia Eagle.
I hope he does slip the 10 because my number one concern is I don't want y'all to have Bijan Robinson. I don't want you to have Bijan Robinson.
I don't want Bijan Robinson, honestly.
Good. That's perfect.
I'm a big and Ian knows this. I'm a big fan. I mean, I think he's the best player in this draft of Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep, Alabama running back.
That is my favorite player in this draft, Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's not a workhorse though. He's just
started. And well, it that really don't matter on this team, on my football team. So, but I saw. I've been watching him the whole season because at first I thought he was just beating my Tennessee Volunteers like that until I just kept watching Alabama games. And I was
hang on, you said that don't matter. That don't matter on your team, but when you won your Super Bowl, you had LeGarrette Blount and you had the other boy.
Ajayi.
Yeah, neither one. Nobody had 1,000 yards.
Okay, but both of them were big, bruising, cold weather backs. Jahmyr Gibbs is not.
I just went to the Super Bowl with Sanders.
Ooh, Gibbs is overrated. Blaze taking shots.
Okay, and Sanders was a workhorse type back who backed up Saquon Barkley in college.
Yeah, but you can say that. But at the end of the day, they got a lot of belief in number 14. They believe that he's the guy. I don't know why, but they got a lot of belief in
Kenneth Gainwell. Yep.
They got a lot of belief in Gainwell. They went and picked up Penny Sewell. Why not get Jahmyr Gibbs in the second round?
And Boston Scott. They seem to have a lot of faith in Boston Scott too.
Yeah, he's a giant killer, number one. And number two, he's real good on special teams.
Yeah.
Before I get Dennis to say who he's got with the Eagles, I'm just going to wrap this up real quick. So for the Raiders at 7, I have Will Levis from Kentucky. He has Christian Gonzalez, defensive back from Oregon. 8th overall, Atlanta Falcons. I have Jalen Carter from Georgia. He has Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech.
That'd be good too. They need to get some pass rush there in Atlanta because they got the best offensive line in that division.
Indeed, they do.
Yeah, they need to get.
And then the 9th and final pick before your Philadelphia Eagles, I have my Chicago Bears taking Lucas Van Ness, defensive end from Iowa.
What?
And he has the Bears taking receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State.
What? Y'all been watching Chicago? Big kid. There's a big kid that's playing right up the street from Northwestern. Peter Schwarzenberg.
Skronsky. Peter Skronsky from Northwestern.
Right. Why didn't y'all pick him?
The thing is,
lineman, right?
Yeah.
I take an offensive line in the second round.
He ain't going to be there in the second round.
No, he won't be there in the second
round. No, he won't be there in the second round, but the Bears will take an offensive lineman in round 2. They're not going to take him.
The only other offensive lineman I would like the Bears to take is Paris Johnson from Ohio State, because at least he could pair back up with Justin Fields.
But offensive line is the biggest issue. Defense,
and that's why I gave him Njigba Smith. I think a kid who's used to playing in the cold in Columbus, Ohio State kid pairing back up with Justin Fields. I think that would be a match made in heaven.
Okay.
So as we've gotten to pick number 10, Dennis, since you are on here to talk about your Philadelphia Eagles, who do you have the Philadelphia Eagles taking in the upcoming NFL draft?
Yeah, well, I was hoping Jalen Carter would slip, but y'all don't believe that he's going to slip that far.
No.
So I would take Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. That's who I would take because Christian Gonzalez is taking on both of y'all lists.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, we got him gone. Yeah.
Right. Y'all have him going on both of y'all lists. Y'all got Jalen Carter going on both of y'all lists. So we do got to get younger at corner because we got 2 old guys. Worst come to worst, I think Bradbury slipping over there to the safety position wouldn't be a bad idea later in his career. But we got to get some young corners with that. We got to get young defensive backs, period, because they got to keep getting better. Now, realistically, I don't see the Eagles keeping both of these first round picks. That's me
Oh,
realistic.
you got them trading up or trading down?
I actually got them trading out. I can see that somebody coming reaching for this 10th pick because a quarterback done slipped like an AR-15 because they're talking bad about him. A quarterback done slipped, and now teams want him. So they come in the 10th pick to come get him from the Eagles. Eagles get a first next year and get like a third this year. Maybe a fourth. Because we don't have no fourth or fifth round picks. I just don't see us not having that many picks in the fourth, fifth, and sixth round.
All right.
I see us trading back.
You know what? That's definitely interesting. I could see that being a possibility. Now, Marcus Betts, Alphabet's football show. Who do you have the Philadelphia Eagles taking at pick number 10?
I hate giving the Eagles anything nice because with Dennis, every time I done dealt with Dennis, I can't ever have nothing nice. He just will not let me have anything nice. But I gave him a nice little something. Losing a guy like Vernon Hargreaves, that Eagles pass rush, you're set pretty much it. I debated with the kid from Northwestern. I debated with that. I think this is probably Kelsey's last year. I think this is probably his last year. I gave you Nolan Smith. This is your Vernon Hargreaves replacement.
No, I don't want Nolan Smith.
No?
No.
Okay.
Nolan Smith is the Keelan Farrell of this draft.
Oh, wow.
How did you listen? How did you play on that dominant of a defensive line and you only got 3 sacks? And your measurables is that good? Somebody just let me know.
I got you, but also sometimes I don't think that sometimes you're getting the play. Maybe they're not using you the right way. We saw a guy like Micah Parsons. He played linebacker in college. They switched him out to edge rusher, and the guy's taken off, and he's an all-pro edge rusher. I think, going there, having the opportunity. I mean, look at the guys he's playing with. It's kind of hard. There's only so many sacks to go around. There's only so many. There's only so many sacks.
In that same draft, Micah Parsons came out. There was another defensive end. I can't think his name. He played for Penn State, and he only had a couple sacks. He ended up going to the Baltimore Ravens. How much did you hear about him?
Jeremiah Owasu Karamoa, and I just think you put Nolan Smith next to Jordan Davis, and now and the Kobe Dean, and you're basically got the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
That's why we're gonna get Jalen Carter. We're gonna be the bull. We're gonna listen. I already got this thing mapped out.
I think Carter's gonna be gone.
Listen, I already got this thing mapped out. We're gonna be the Bulldogs on defense. And we're gonna be roll tide.
Jason Awoa on Baltimore.
Yeah, JOK. Yeah.
Owa. Okay. I thought it was JOK.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, JOK went to the Browns. You're right. That was he went to the Browns.
But I was thinking about other guys like what's my man name? Goddamn, what is the bull name? Shit. No. Like in I think it's 2012 draft, you had other guys who just measurables was like perfect, but they didn't get that many sacks when they got in the league, like a Mingo, and somebody else came out with Mingo.
That's the name I ain't heard in a minute. Barkevius Mingo.
Mingo. Yeah.
You're not talking about Ezekiel Ansah, are you?
Did he come out in that same top 10 draft?
Ansah was from Oregon.
No, I thought that was Deion Jordan because it was a Deion Jordan.
Deion Jordan went to the Dolphins.
Right, he did, and one of them came from BYU. I remember they kept talking about him.
Yeah. But I don't trust Oregon edge rushers. I don't trust
BYU. Dalton just.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, Dalton.
That's how I feel about Nolan Smith. I just don't think Nolan Smith is that guy.
Shout out to Joshua Bailey for Stay Tuned Live. I'll get to the Packers in a second. I'll say the invite because you want to talk about your Packers. But
shout out to Josh Bailey.
Shout out to Josh Bailey, absolutely. Now, before I kick Dennis off, I wanted you to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles pick. I know that you big time Philadelphia Eagles guy. Now I have the same pick as you. I think that the defensive back from Illinois, he is the guy I do have being selected here to your Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know that they have the 30th overall pick, and I'm not going to go all the way that far with me and Marcus, but since, Dennis, you're here, who do you have the Philadelphia Eagles taking if they keep that pick 30th overall?
If we keep the 30th pick and we don't end up getting Jalen Carter, then give me the big Samoan from Baylor.
Ooh.
Yeah, give me the Uso from Baylor.
Oh, man.
Kia.
Yeah, that's who I think's going to Detroit. To be honest with you.
You need 2-1 techniques.
Man.
Don't forget you got Jordan Day. I just don't see you having 2 nose guards.
Yeah, that big Samoan right there. Because as you can see, last year we had Ndamukong Suh and what was the boy name? Linval Joseph.
Yeah, Linval Joseph. Yeah.
Right.
He went and got Robert Quinn for the Bears for no reason.
Suh's more of a 3 tech though. He's more of a pass rushing type. They were getting ran. I think that could be your Jahmyr Gibbs pick at 31. I think that if you decide to go running back, I think that could be your Jahmyr Gibbs pick right there.
If we don't go defense twice, the only other pick I would have is us getting a wide receiver, and if Jordan Addison is there, I'll take him.
Okay,
but I don't think Jordan Addison to be there. I think
not at 30. No, not at 30, 31. No, not at 30.
Now we actually got to get to the next picks. But hey, Dennis, before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find you.
Listen, Ignorant Thinker Podcast on all social media platforms. Check me out each and every day. I got more content coming to you. So please make sure y'all like, subscribe, and keep on watching, baby. We love y'all. God bless.
On the Zoom, man. See you.
All right.
Yay.
So that was Dennis Holmes from Inner Thinkers Podcast. I mean, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, pretty much, was a no-brainer. You had to bring him on. Now, the 11th overall pick, we had the Tennessee Titans here, and I'm going to make this very simple. For me, I have them taking offensive tackle Paris Johnson from Ohio State. They got to get somebody in front to help Derrick Henry while he is still on the team and having a young quarterback in Malik Willis. It does make a lot of sense. Now, Marcus Betts, who do you have the Tennessee Titans taking 11th overall?
I'm throwing a curveball. I'm giving them Hendon Hooker. This is your last year. This is your last year of Ryan Tannehill. Hendon Hooker gets the red shirt, and you bring in you let him sit in red shirt and totally heal up. I'm telling you, you're not playing. I see Derrick Henry probably getting traded. I see Derrick Henry possibly getting traded. There's been talk of him getting traded. And I think that they're in a rebuild. They got to find their quarterback. I don't think Malik Willis is that guy from what I saw. I thought he was a big fish in a small pond, playing at Liberty. And I think you go here and you can go you can make a splash. You get Hendon Hooker. He doesn't have to come in right away and play.
Hey, Josh, man, the Packers, we're 2 picks away. We're 2 picks away from your Green Bay Packers, Josh. Now, the next pick, we have the Houston Texans. This will be the first of the 2 teams, that kind of thing. So the Houston Texans, 12th overall. Now, I have Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. I have him going 12th overall. I mean, can you imagine Bryce Young and him being in the same team? I think that would just be absolutely incredible. But since you have him going to the Bears at 9, who do you have the Houston Texans taking here, Marcus?
I gave them Jordan Addison. I gave them Jordan. They got to get some weapons on the perimeter. Losing a Brandon Cooks. You got to get some weapons on the perimeter. I don't know where Mechie really stands, but they got to go get a serious threat on the outside. So I gave them Jordan Addison there at 12.
Yep, and pick 13 is going to be an interesting one to talk about, Marcus, and everyone watching around the world, because there's a lot of uncertainty about this team. There's a lot of talk about the New York Jets, or as we call them on this show, the New Jersey Jets. And when it comes to the New Jersey Jets, 13th overall, I mean, who's their quarterback going to be next year? Is it going to be Zach Wilson? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Going to be Lamar Jackson? We don't know who their quarterback's going to be next year. But regardless, Marcus Betts from the Alpha Bets Football Show, who do you have the New York Jets taking here, 13th overall?
I'm beefing up that offensive line. I like everything that they've done. You know, you had the offensive and defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner on the defensive rookie of the year, Garrett Wilson. But what the Jets want to do, they're a cold weather team. They want to pound the rock. And I gave them a cold weather offensive line. I gave them Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. I think, you know, you get Breece Hall back. You got Michael Carter. I think that they want to bludgeon teams. If they get Aaron Rodgers, I think they're going to get Aaron Rodgers. And you look at all of the stuff that they're trying to put, it's going to happen. It's happening. You look at what they have: Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Mecole Hardman, Odell Beckham Jr. is going there on Monday. They're doing everything that they can to line up everything for when Aaron Rodgers gets there. You beef up that offensive line. Peter Skoronski, Northwestern. That's my pick for them at 13.
Now, you know, I just want to skip, you know, the New England Patriots, because honestly, who cares about the Patriots at this point? So let's get to the Green Bay Packers at pick 15. And of course, I have to bring on my good buddy, you know, somebody that is very well respected and knowledgeable about the Green Bay Packers. And of course, that is Stay Tuned Live, Joshua Bailey, or should I just say Josh Bailey? I don't know why I keep calling you Joshua. But hey, Josh,
man, it's
Bailey,
my government.
my good
It's
friend,
Joshua.
man.
Hey, it's Joshua Bailey, Josh Bailey, Jay Bailey. Don't matter, man.
You know, I should just call you Otis. You know, there you go. Now, Josh Bailey from Stay Tuned Live. How's it going, my friend? Green Bay Packers, 15th overall.
Right. Let me get outside.
Now, 15th overall when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm going to get mine, you know, kind of out of the way first. I have them taking tight end Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. I think them really need to get a weapon, somebody that can help out Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers, whoever the heck your quarterback is next year. So I have them 15th overall, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. And Josh, since it is your team, I wanted to bring you on the show to talk about your Green Bay Packers. Who do you have them taking 15th overall?
Man, I could see a tight end at 15, but I've been talking to my homeboy Rashad about it. I could see us taking the best offensive tackle, you know what I mean, to build for Jordan Love. It ain't the sexiest pick, you know what I mean, but it might be Bakhtiari's last year, and we got to, you know what I'm saying, make sure we can protect him if he's the quarterback of the future. So I don't know no names like that, but I think the best OT available. Like I said, y'all know the names, not me like that, so.
Oh, absolutely. And Marcus, who do you have? 15th overall, Green Bay Packers.
So we're skipping 14. I was right there with you. I gave them Mayer also. You know, you just lost the tight end. I can't think of his name. Robert Tonyan always hurt. I think you need another. You know, this guy. The comparisons that I've heard with him, I went and watched film of him. I just keep hearing Gronk. I think you got that guy who can, you know, you had Christian Rock, you got Christian, you know, the rookies last year going into their second year this year, Christian Watson, Joshua Dobbs. I think you could solidify the team. You got two good running backs. You got my hometown guy here, Aaron Jones out of UTEP. You got the big boy out of Boston College, so nice little 1-2 punch. I gave him Michael Mayer. I think, you know, that kind of completes, you know, now you're cooking with bacon grease. You got two good receivers. I think they'll be a little bit better this year, Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs. And then you put Mayer with them guys and that run game. And I think, you know, you're really helping your quarterback They say the two things that really help a young quarterback is a run game and a tight end, and a lot of people have this guy's the best tight end in the draft.
Yeah, because then the tight end supposed to be like their safety blanket.
That's your safety blanket. You got the running game. You get you a nice tight end.
I'll take it.
I went with Mayer there as well.
You guys know more than me about these college players coming
And
out.
Blaze Thunder, Blaze, by the way, I will bring you on when the Bengals, at the end of the show. But Green Bay, he has them taking Dalton Kincaid from University of Utah. And as a University of Utah guy, he definitely would be a great use for the Green Bay Packers. Now I will have to get back to the rest of the show. But Josh Bailey, thanks for coming on the show. Talking about your Green Bay Packers. And very quickly, tell everybody where I can find you, man. What content you're working on.
Hey, y'all can find me on Tuesday nights, man. Stay tuned live. Facebook, YouTube. Just type that in. You should be able to find us on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, man. I'll see you in the Zoom, man. Now, since Blaze asked nicely, all right, we'll talk about the good old New England Patriots, even though I feel like I'm wasting my breath even talking about this team. But 14th overall, New England Patriots, I have them taking wide receiver Quentin Johnston from TCU. Their quarterback situation is questionable, but they don't have a legit number one receiver. Getting Quentin Johnston from TCU would fix that situation. Blaze, who do you have? New England Patriots, 14th overall. New England Patriots, I will say this, 14th overall. Like I said, I got them taking a receiver. But Marcus, who do you got there?
I gave them Darnell Washington. Bill Belichick loves the tight end position. He went in there. He got Ossie a couple of years ago. He went and picked up the tight end from the Titans, Jonnu Smith. He went and got Hunter Henry. I think he loves the two tight end set. Can you imagine Hunter Henry going along with Darnell Washington? I think he sees that Gronk and whatever your thoughts are, Aaron Hernandez on the field. I think you pair those two guys there. He likes old school smash mouth football, so maybe one of the best, if not the best, run blocking tight end in the game in the nation in college football with him and Mayer. And I gave them Darnell Washington. I know that's a little bit of a reach, but Bill Belichick can't draft wide receivers worth of crap. So I said he sticks with what he knows and goes tight end.
You know what? I could definitely see that. And we talked about this team earlier in the show. 16th pick, Washington Commanders. And, with Washington, there's a lot of question marks about the ownership, but they still have a draft to do. I have them taking defensive back Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. They definitely need to fix the secondary in Washington. Marcus Betts, who do you have here? 16th overall, Washington Commanders.
I gave them a defensive back also, but I gave them someone who's a little bit more versatile. A smaller guy, been compared a lot to the Honey Badger. I gave them Brian Branch, defensive back, Alabama.
Brian Branch, the safety front. And you know what, Blaze, he kind of on the same mindset with you with 16th overall. Now, 17th overall will be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know that and I know somebody who is a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. She definitely would have a lot to talk about there. But when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 17th overall, Marcus Betts, who do you have here?
I was kind of torn here, but they made two moves to get two guards, so to solidify that offensive line. My original pick was Paris Johnson, but I'm having them pick up the kid, former Steelers linebacker, Joey Porter, linebacker. Drafting his kid, staying in state, going from Penn State to Pittsburgh, staying in the state of Pennsylvania. And I gave them Joey Porter Jr.
Yep, so you got Joey Porter Jr. right there from Penn State, as you're looking at right there on the screen. Now, I'm going to stay with defensive back, but I'm going to go with Deonte Banks from Maryland. This is guy's very agile, very agile. I like his speed. I like his coverage ability. He is somebody that could definitely be a number one corner, something very lacking in Pittsburgh. So we'll go to the Detroit Lions, back to pick 18. We talked about them earlier in the show. Now, when we talked about them, I had Detroit Lions taking defensive back Christian Gonzalez. You have them taking defensive lineman Jalen Carter. So, Marcus Betts, who do you have Detroit Lions pick 18? What do you got here?
I gave them they were hurt. They were hurting. They lost the tight end. They gave away the tight end. The two highest rated tight ends that I have, Mayer and Washington, are gone. So I gave them Dalton Kincaid, tight end, Utah.
You know what? That would be a great pickup for them. Absolutely. However, I'm actually going to go with Kalijah Kancey, the defensive tackle from Pittsburgh. I think he would be an excellent pickup for the Detroit Lions. I mean, after all, if you're going with Jalen Carter, I'm going to go with Kancey. So it's a very different situation. I go defensive back and defensive line. You go with defensive line and with tight end. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And, we're getting towards the back end of the draft here. So I'm not going to say it's a rapid fire, but it's going to be, not as in-depth as the top 10 was. So 19th overall, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now I'm going to go defensive back with Kelly Ringo. This was a guy who was a projected top 5 pick a couple of months ago. So slipping 19th overall to Tampa Bay would be a bit of a steal for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, getting a defensive back from Georgia. Marcus Betts, who do you got?
They got a lot of holes, but I gave them offensive line. You got Baker Mayfield in there. I think they need a little bit more protection. I gave them Broderick Jones out of Georgia, offensive tackle.
Okay, there you go. Broderick Jones from Georgia. And then we got the next pick here, the Seattle Seahawks. Now to kind of put this back to what we talked about earlier in the show. Now, Marcus, you had them taking Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida, with the 5th overall pick. I have them taking defensive end Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. So with them having the 2nd pick at 20 overall, who do you have here? Seattle Seahawks, Marcus Betts.
Seattle Seahawks, I gave them Zay Flowers. I think Tyler Lockett's probably out of there. I can see him possibly being traded, but I gave them a weapon on the outside to grow with Anthony Richardson, Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College. That's your.
It's kind of interesting that you didn't mention Jordan Addison, and I have seen people say that he will drop in this draft. Do you think there's a reason for that?
Well, I had Jordan Addison going 12.
So you got Jordan Addison going 12, but I've seen people say he might be a late 1st-round pick. Which
I don't think that there's a Jamar Chase in this draft. A lot of these guys are smallish guys, 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", not very big guys, smallish, faster guys. But yeah, I can see it. But I had Jordan Addison already off the board, so that's why I gave them Zay Flowers there.
Well, the thing about Seattle, I don't have them taking a receiver here. In fact, I have them taking a defensive tackle here. I have them taking the defensive tackle from Clemson, and that is in Brian Breesy. Now, I know he's had injury concerns. Let's see how Seahawks, they need to have somebody up the middle, which was kind of a big problem for Seattle heading into last year. Now, we're going to go with Blaze here because you got Pittsburgh, Deontay Banks, so we're on the same level here. Detroit Lions, tight end Darnell Washington. So you know what? Detroit Lions, tight end makes a lot of sense. Seattle, Brian Breesy. Yeah, we're kind of on that same level there. Jordan Addison, I wouldn't take top 20. Like I said, I've been seeing people fall in this draft. Now, Blaze, you only have one receiver with a 1st-round grade. Who is that? Comment down below. Who's the receiver that's a 1st-round grade? Only one. In Blaze's opinion.
Yeah, I only got one myself that's up there like that. And they're all lucky. They better all be lucky if Marvin Harrison Jr. is not in this draft. They all need to be thanking their lucky stars for that. But I only got it, and Jibba Smith is the only first round grade at wide receiver.
Now, 21st overall, the LA Chargers. You know, I had my call in earlier in the show. We had Sal from the Sports Circus, a Los Angeles Chargers fan. I always joke with him. He's one of the only 10 Chargers fans that's left. But with the 21st overall pick, Los Angeles Chargers, I have them taking USC receiver Jordan Addison here. I think he actually will drop to 21. And with Keenan Allen getting older, Mike Williams with his injury concerns, Justin Herbert needs another weapon. Marcus Betts from the Alphabets Football Show. Who do you have 21st overall going to LA?
This hurt me. This really hurt me to have to do this. I gave them Bijan Robinson. I think that I could see Austin Eckler possibly being moved. He's complaining about his contract, and I could see them moving him if somebody would be willing to give up something for him. So I'm giving them Bijan Robinson. You got your workhorse back that can grow with, that's going to be on his rookie deal that can grow with Justin Herbert.
And bringing the chat right here, he does have Jackson Smith-Njigba as the only receiver with first round grade. I mean, he really is the best receiver in this draft. So yeah. I do agree on that.
It really hurt me to give them Bijan Robinson. That really hurt me.
I mean, I know the Dallas Cowboys, they want to get him 26 overall. I get that. However, I have Bijan Robinson going 22nd overall, and I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to start the new era if Lamar Jackson is no longer the quarterback there. I think you could see the Baltimore Ravens having a run-heavy type of team, and I think having Robinson from Texas could definitely help build that running game in Baltimore. So I have them taking Robinson, the running back from Texas, 22nd overall to Baltimore. Marcus Betts, who do you have?
I had Hendon Hooker off the board here. He's off the board already in my draft. So I gave them, they love to stack it up over there. On the offensive line, I gave them Osiris Torrance out of Florida. Big bruising mauler over there. If you want to run, you want to run the football, run. So I gave him a mauling offensive lineman. I gave him Osiris Torrance here.
I mean, I will say this definitely would help when it comes to the offensive line, no doubt, with the Baltimore Ravens, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Lamar Jackson situation. Now, very quickly, do you think Lamar Jackson will be flipped or no?
I do. I think it's going to be. I think he's out the door. I think that it's a relationship that just can't be resolved. I think there's too much anger, disrespect, people feeling disrespected, and I just think you see something closer towards the draft, somewhere around draft day. But I don't think Lamar Jackson will be with the Ravens next year.
And to me, I have a situation where I think if he stays, having a number one running back would actually help Lamar Jackson out. Whereas if he leaves, then you won't be stranded with nothing because you'll have a number one running back in Robinson. That's just my pick on Baltimore Ravens.
Well, but I think JK, they got two good backs. I just think last year they had both got hurt 2 years ago. They were both coming off torn ACLs. J.K. Dobbins is he's a workhorse running back, and then you got Gus Edwards right behind him. I don't really see them going running back here. I think J.K. Dobbins. I think you kind of saw towards the end of the year last year he kind of started picking it up, coming off that ACL for a running back is usually you don't really see the results until that second year after the surgery. So I think that they're straight there. I think that they beef up that offensive line.
So continuing our 2023 NFL Draft Preview Show here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. We're here with Marcus Betts from the Alphabets Football Show. Now, we have about 10 minutes left here in the show, so let's get to the last couple of picks. 23rd overall, Minnesota Vikings. I have them taking defensive back, and that is Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State. I mean, this is a Minnesota Vikings team that has a terrible secondary, very aging secondary as well. So I say Forbes will go to Minnesota. Blaze agrees as well. Marcus Betts.
I gave him a corner as well. I gave him Deontay Banks, cornerback, Maryland.
Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, if I had Ada Cruz or maybe a Jaguars fan to jump on, that would help out a lot. But unfortunately, we don't. So, Jacksonville Jaguars, Marcus Betts, who do you got here?
I gave them stay beefing up that offensive line, running the football, getting back to their roots over there, protecting Trevor Lawrence. I gave them Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee.
Hey, you know what? If he does go there, you got to protect Trevor Lawrence. Makes a lot of sense. However, I say Trevor Lawrence gets another weapon, and I have them taking tight end Dalton Kincaid from University of Utah, the best passing tight end in this draft. Also, Jacksonville Jaguars, University of Utah, that's become a trend as of recent years. They drafted Devin Lloyd last year from University of Utah, and there's been a couple of University of Utah players on the Jacksonville Jaguars team over the past decade. So just makes a lot of sense in terms of past history. 25th overall, this will be a team in your division, and that is the New York Giants, or as we say on the show, the New Jersey Giants. So 25th overall, Marcus Betts, who do you have here?
I gave them a weapon. They lost Kadarius Toney. Sterling Shepard can't stay healthy. They've just had an issue with keeping wide receivers. Like I said, Kadarius Toney, they traded away to the Kansas City Chiefs. I gave them a speed demon, somebody on the perimeter, loosen things up for Saquon Barkley. I gave him Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver, Tennessee.
And for the New York Giants, I have them taking receiver Zay Flowers from Boston College. I don't see him being taken as high as you do. You have him going a couple picks for me. But yeah, receiver is the biggest need for the Giants. If they don't take a receiver here, you're going to look foolish as you're the Giants general manager. So I say 25th overall, the New York Giants take Zay Flowers, receiver from Boston College. Now, 26th overall, you being a Dallas Cowboys fan, obviously you will know a lot more than I do. But 26th overall, Dallas Cowboys. Who do you have your team picking, Marcus?
Well, the guy who I wanted got wiped out. I just don't see how he makes it to 26. My dream pick is Bijan Robinson. In my draft, I had to be realistic. I don't think he survives to 26. Kalijah Kancey, Pitt, defensive tackle. The defense is straight. You look at that defense, the edge rushers. You look at Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. They got two shutdown corners. You got Diggs and you pick up Stephon Gilmore. I think that their issue has always been, pressure up the middle. I could see Avila. Blaze, I see you there. I could see Avila. Maybe that's your Connor McGovern replacement at left guard. I could see Steve Avila there. I gave him Kalijah Kancey. I gave him Kalijah Kancey. I think that they need, somebody to up, in the middle of that defensive line to create some pressure there. So that was my pick. But I could see Steve Avila. That was a good pick too, Blaze.
It absolutely is. And you know what? They both make sound arguments. However, I will say with me, Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee, the way that he plays the game, I think he would be perfect for the Dallas Cowboys. I think getting a guy like Jalen Hyatt would definitely be an upgrade, and not only an upgrade, but a bonus to the Dallas Cowboys. So I have you taking the receiver from Tennessee and Jalen Hyatt. Now, 27th.
I wouldn't mind.
Now, 27th overall, the Buffalo Bills, and we got the Cincinnati Bengals at this next upcoming pick. But with the Buffalo Bills, 27th overall. Now, Marcus Betts, who do you have here? Buffalo Bills. We obviously know a lot of Bills fans in groups and whatnot. But who do you got here at Buffalo?
I gave them Steve Avila. I gave them Steve Avila. That offensive line, I just think that offensive line is kind of in shambles. They picked up our former guy, Connor McGovern, but I think that they could still use some help over there. I could see them possibly going wide receiver. But most of the wide receivers that were wiped out in my draft here, I don't trust Gabe Davis. I done told you all that. I've never been a big fan of Gabe Davis. I think he's on and off. I think he's boom or bust. I think that they could use another guy over there. You keep seeing things with Stephon Diggs, rescue me and things or whatnot. So, but I gave them, something to solidify that offensive line. They looked really bad against Cincinnati in that game. They look bad. You let somebody come to Buffalo and just rough you up. 17 points. You got beat by 17 points at home in the snow, and you're a cold weather team. So.
Absolutely. And, we got about 5 minutes left here in the show. So I'm just going to make this very quick. Buffalo Bills. Getting a center makes sense with Avila, but I have them taking a guard here. And I think Osiris Torrance from Florida, getting a guard would definitely make a lot of sense for the Buffalo Bills. And it's a lot better than a running back being taken in the first round. We have a common friend of ours that is adamant that the Buffalo Bills, you got to take a running back. You got to take a running back. No, Charles, you don't need to take a running back. The Buffalo Bills, you got to have an offensive line first before taking a running back. So since we got the Cincinnati Bengals coming up, I had to bring on my good friend. We got Blaze. Hey, Cincinnati Bengals. By the way, I appreciate you being in the chat, by the way. Been seeing you the whole time.
Blaze.
Awesome. Yeah, real quick, though, who did you pick for Dallas, Ian?
I had Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee.
Hyatt. All right. So the Bengals, we need running back. Joe Mixon's got 2 more years on the contract. He's going to really essentially be in his last year for us because we're going to have 1 more year with him. We're cutting him next year. We got to pay guys. We need cornerback and we need tight end. You guys wiped all the tight ends off the board, so I don't even got to think about tight end anymore. So on Marcus's side, let's see, was it Marcus's side? Yeah, Marcus's side. You wiped out one of my guys, so we're going to go cornerback, Cam Smith from South Carolina. Physical, 205, 6'1". He fits the AFC North, prototype to the T. So I love that pick if the tight ends are gone. On Ian's side, now this is a dream right here. We just got Orlando Brown. The Bengals for the last few years, for the last maybe decade, have been struggling with the offensive line ever since Andrew Whitworth went to the Rams. We lost first-round guard Kevin Zeitler that same year. Ever since that year, 2016, we've been terrible. So we got Orlando Brown to replace Jonah Williams, who hopefully we trade in this draft. Jonah Williams is done as a Bengal in my eyes. Do not want him back. So we are going to the right side. We got Orlando Brown for 4 years, and now we got Darnell Wright for 5 years. And we're going to have bookend tackles. We got the middle fixed in free agency. So that is the number 1 guy on my board for the Bengals at 28 is Darnell Wright. Number 2 would probably be Darnell Washington, tight end from Georgia. And then I'm starting to look at the cornerbacks and then Michael Mayer.
Absolutely. And that's a great analysis, by the way. That's why I wanted to bring you on, because you're very knowledgeable about the upcoming draft. Now, Marcus, I'll have you go first. Who do you got the Bengals taking here?
Bengals. You get rid of Samaje Perine. I gave you what I consider the second best back in this draft. I gave you guys Gibbs. I think you pair him up. You have a weapon that you can deploy all over the field. Who do you cover? You can put this guy. This is your Tony Pollard type guy you can line up in the slot, guy that you can put. You already got to worry about the three wide receivers. You get Amir Gibbs. You got a guy who can score anywhere in the field. And let's play Madden football. Spread them out. I'm giving you Gibbs, Alabama running back.
Okay, that's a good move. And on my end, I have them taking tight end Darnell Washington from Georgia.
Ooh,
I really believe that you could get a guy for Joe Burrow and add another weapon to a very loaded offense in Cincinnati.
I love Darnell Washington. I'm going to go on the Gibbs pick real quick. Gibbs can definitely be a possibility for the Bengals at 28. Like I said, we're going to do a 1 year behind Mixon and then take over. But with that being said, the more I look at Gibbs, people see Kamara. I've seen Jamal Charles, but what I'm really seeing is a guy that's not going to get over 200 carries. Yeah, he might add 50 catches, but I just don't see him fitting in the division. He's going to get banged up at 200 pounds in our division. So the guy I want in round 2 is Zach Charbonnet, and we might have to trade against. We might have to trade ahead of those Dallas Cowboys to get him, and it's something I'm willing to do.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely what you're definitely going to need to do. Now, we got about 4 minutes left here on the show. So, Blaze, very quickly, I appreciate you coming on the show, talking about your Cincinnati Bengals, and tell everybody where they can find you, man. Like, what kind of shows you working on?
I'm the amoeba. I'm just floating around everywhere, just all over the place. But for the Cincinnati Bengals, listen, we're there. We went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, this close to the Super Bowl last year. Kudos to the Chiefs. No hard feelings because we're going to take it out on you this year. Buffalo Bills, your window's already closed. So we ain't worried about you. Just listen, we are the AFC champions of 2023, 2024, whatever seasons next year. We're coming. We're going for Super Bowl. We don't care about playoff wins. We're going for the Super Bowl.
Well, absolutely, man. Hey, I'll see you around, man. Thanks.
Definitely, brother. Appreciate you.
And then we got the New Orleans Saints, 29th overall. So Dalton D-Man Smith, New Orleans Saints. Now we got about 3 minutes left in the show. So Dalton, thanks for coming on the show. New Orleans Saints, who do you have here?
No problem, and thanks for having me. I know we need a pass rusher because we lost Marcus Davenport to the Vikings. Karen Jordan's aging. Payne Turner, he's not showing. I think he's a bust. I mean, we need a defensive tackle. We lost David Monte to the Falcons. Shy Tuttle. I know Ian already picked. Marcus, you haven't picked Lucas Van Ness, haven't you?
I have it.
Okay, so that's what I mean. For the 29th pick, I got New Orleans Saints picking Luke Van Ness, defense van, Iowa.
That is awesome. Now, Marcus, what do you got?
I gave you guys Maisie Smith, Michigan. I think you need some beef up front, 330-pounder, very disruptive guy. I gave you Maisie Smith, Michigan.
And I will go with Maisie Smith, defensive tackle from Michigan. That's who I got as well.
I mean, at least we're great on the defensive side, defensive line, though. That's part good.
Absolutely, man. Now, like I said, I have about 2 minutes left and 2 more picks. So, hey, Dalton Smith, appreciate you coming on the show, and I'll see you in the Zoom, man.
All right, no problem. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right,
good night, y'all.
Have a good one.
Now we got like 2 picks left. So, Marcus, like very rapid fire. Who do you got here? 30th overall, Philadelphia Eagles, and 31st overall, Kansas City Chiefs.
Miles Murphy for Philly, just replenishing over there on the defensive side. That's where they made their bones last year. I thought, they're pretty stacked on the offensive side of the ball. And at 31, I gave Kansas City tight end Luke Musgrave, Oregon State. Tight end this year, Travis Kelce, eventual replacement.
And for me, I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking defensive end Miles Murphy from Clemson. I think he will be the steal of this draft. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will find a very good player in Miles Murphy from Clemson. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, I have them taking Nolan Smith from Georgia. I think he'll be the last pick in this draft. So this was the Sports Angles 2023 NFL Draft Preview Show here with Marcus Betts from the Alphabets Football Show. I want to say thank you to Dennis Holmes from Interfingers Podcast, Josh Bailey from Stay Tuned Live, Blaze, shout out to him, and Dalton Smith, D-Man Smith. So I want to say my appreciation to everyone who came on the show. And very quickly, we got about 20 seconds. Marcus Betts, tell everybody where they can find you.
Check me out, Alphabets Football Show, with my lovely co-host Ramona Diehard. We're around. Check us out, YouTube, Facebook, Alphabets, BETTS, all things football, news and notes, all of that good stuff. We'll be doing our mock draft here this week. I've been kind of out the net, had some family issues or whatever, but we'll be back. I ain't hard to find.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely appreciate you coming on the show. And this was another episode of the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. And have a good one.